different kind of uterus. Anything that has multiple births has a different uterus than a human. Humans' uteruses, uteri, are only meant really for 1 or 2 embryos, but these guys have multiple births, like 10, 12, and so they have a Y-shaped uterus. So this whole thing is uterus. This is not fallopian tube. In a human, this would look more like a fallopian tube, but not in a mink. So this is called the uterine horn. There's one on each side. The embryos develop all along the uterine horns. And then up here at the very top, there's that little lentil bean-sized ovary. They have a very short fallopian tube. You can only, you almost can't even notice the fallopian tube. It's so small. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Okay, so here are models of male and female. Okay, so here, what is the structure right here? Uterus. What's this down here? The vagina. Good view of ovary. What are these little things right there? They're fimbriae, and this is the what? Fallopian tube. There's a good view of that ovarian ligament I just showed you a while ago. Remember the regions of the uterus and the walls of the uterus. What's this area? Fundus. This is the body. This is the what? Cervix down here at the bottom. So the wall layers that you see here in deep pink, it's the myometrium, which is smooth muscle. This lighter layer outside, perimetrium, and the inner light pink layer, endometrium. So endometrium is going to be a epithelial tissue, then a muscle tissue, then an epithelial tissue again. And here is the same thing you just saw up here, except that it's the sagittal view. So what's this thing right here? Bladder. And what's that thing right there? The urethra. And then, of course, we've got labia majora and labia minora. So here's the male, and what's that thing right there? Bladder. It's not a good view. Can't really see it all that well, but this deep purple structure right there, prostate gland. So what is that gland right there? On the back side of the bladder. Seminal vesicle. So, let's see, the vas deferens you don't see on here because the front portion of it was taken off. But it goes up around this way, it comes around the side of the bladder, it comes in the back side where it merges with the seminal vesicle tube, and it now enters the prostate. And what is that little passageway right there called? Nope. The urethra is right there. I'm talking about right there. Ejaculatory duct. What's that right there? Epididymis. And here is the penile urethra right there. Okay, so you've got a good view of, relatively good view of, not terribly important. The penile urethra is the main one. This is the prostatic urethra, and then you can't see it very well on the models, but right in here, so you're coming out of the bladder, you're in the prostatic urethra, it leaves the prostate, it goes this way, this is called the membranous urethra, and then you start into the penis, and you're now in the penile urethra. So the membranous urethra is really hard to see on the models because there's stuff over it. So anyway, erectile tissue. What's this erectile tissue right here? Spongy, the spongiosum, corpus spongiosum. Okay, what are you looking at here?
Testes.
Testes. What are these tubules called? And you've looked at them a couple of times, once in the endocrine system. Huh? Seminiferous tubules. What are the cells in between the seminiferous tubules? Cells of Leydig, or interstitial cells. Okay, so these are views of ovaries. Here's a far a low power view, you can see the follicles. These guys are follicles. Here, if you go out into this area and blow it up, that's what it looks like. These are the tiny little follicles, immature follicles, with primary oocytes in them. Remember, the female is born with all of her primary oocytes already made, and they're sitting kind of stunted, dormant in the middle of, at the beginning of meiosis 1. Okay, so they're going to undergo meiosis 1 from puberty on, and the follicle is going to enlarge, and the oocytes are going to continue their meiotic division, and they get larger. So here is a follicle with an egg in it. This is a Graafian follicle right there. This is the stage that will rupture out of the ovary, releasing that guy. What stage is that egg? It's not an ovum yet. You don't get an ovum until it meets a sperm. What stage is released from a Graafian follicle during ovulation? Okay, I'm going to leave you with that question. You need to look at that. Okay, so here's male. Remember I said when we started on the reproductive system, most people have an easy time with the anatomy. The physiology is tougher, so you just answered that question of mine, made that point. Okay, so let's see. We're looking at an ovary actually right here, and here is ovulation. There is that stage that I was just pointing to, except it was inside of the Graafian follicle. This is the follicle right here. Anybody come up with the name of that egg stage that's leaving? Oocyte? There is no word like that. Huh? No. Okay, guys, you don't know your reproductive physiology. This is a secondary oocyte. These are the immature follicles over here that haven't developed. Okay, so this is a breast, and these are lactiferous ducts right here. Notice this yellow stuff in here. What kind of tissue is this? Adipose. Yellow should always make you think adipose. That's what gives different breast size is fat tissue. These are the glands in pink that you see, the gland cells. This is the areola, which is the pigmented area around the nipple. There's not that much on that. Okay, so remind yourself about meiosis. This is the model that's over here on the left-hand side. I've already got them labeled meiosis 1 and 2, obviously. What phase are you looking at right there? This is not a metaphase, anaphase. If this were spermatogenesis that you were looking at, what would be the names of these cells made right? No, let's. Where do I want to do that? Actually, this is the beginning of meiosis 2. These are the cells that are undergoing meiosis 2 right there. Oh, if this were spermatogenesis, what would be the name of these daughter cells right here? Secondary spermatocytes. So you would get 2 secondary spermatocytes. This is a primary spermatocyte right here, starting meiosis 1. Again, this would be the end of meiosis 1 right here in between these, because these are the cells that start the next meiotic division. How many chromosomes would these 2 secondary spermatocytes have? 23. How many does this guy have? 46. And this is just showing you the fertilization. Here's the flagellum of the sperm. There's the nucleus of the sperm with its 23 chromosomes about to fuse with the 23 chromosomes of the egg. So when these come together, you have a zygote. And I'll stop here because the rest of these are all fertilization pictures that we're going to be doing next week, except for that.